Welcome back to an episode of SmoothBrainEDH, moving the smoothest plays with the biggest brains. We are super excited to showcase some of the new cards and commanders from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, so let's see what our players brought to the table. Apologies in advance for any mispronunciations of new cards. Our first person today is Sam on Cody's list of the Mycotyrant. This Golgari deck is all about the new descent mechanic, hoping to fill the graveyard with permanents in order to create an army of fungi. Up next is Cameron on Sovereign Okinec Ahau. This Leslie deck is actually focused around hydras, using the commander's slightly confusing but cool ability to dump a bunch of counters on Cameron's creatures. Third is Caden on Pantlaza, Sun Favored. This Night deck is focused around dinosaurs, using Pantlaza's ability to cheat out powerful creatures and spells and overwhelm opponents. Last is Ethan on Chandler's list of Ellie and Alan, Paleontologists. This band deck is also about dinosaurs, but also focused around filling the yard to get discover value with the commander's activated ability. We're about to hop right into the game, but before that, go and give us a like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content. We have links to our social media, public Discord server, Decklists, and our Patreon in the description. We're part of Dragon Shield. Check out our affiliate link in the description if you pick up any sleeves, deck boxes, or playmat. We're also partnered with Inked Gaming. Our affiliate link is also in the description if you'd like to pick up any custom playmats. Now, onto the gameplay.
Welcome to Ixalan, everybody. I am super excited, so let's hop right into it. Looks like Caden wins the die roll, and he starts off with a basic forest as land for turn, and then he'll cast his turn 1 Soul Ring. Ethan will play Hidden Cataract and pass. Sam will play a Cavern of Souls as land for turn, and as it enters, he'll name Fungus, then he'll cast an Elixir of Immortality, and then pass to Cameron. Cameron will play Radiant Grove as land for turn, and then pass to Caden. Caden plays Tap Cinderglade as land for turn, and then he'll cast 3 Visits. This finds him Jetmir's Garden, and then he'll pass the turn to Ethan. Ethan will just play Exotic Orchard as land for turn, and then pass to Sam. Sam will start his turn off with a Bayou, and then he'll cast an Arcane Signet, and then pass the turn to Cameron. Cameron just plays a Forest as land for turn, and he'll pass to Caden. Caden will just untap, and then immediately cast his commander, Pantlaza, Sun Favored. When it ETBs, he gets to discover 4, and it hits a Topiary Stomper, which gets him a Plains to the battlefield. The turn is then passed to Ethan, but he'll stop on Instep to cycle Migration Path, and then he'll move to his turn, where he plays a Reliquary Tower's land for turn, and then he'll cast a Kodama's Reach. This will find him a Forest to the battlefield tapped, and an Island to his hand, and then he'll pass the turn to Sam, who will start his turn off with a Verdant Catacombs as land for turn, and then he'll tap for 3 and cast Akawali, the Seething Tower. The turn is then passed to Cameron, and he'll play a basic Plains, and then slam Mana Gorger Hydra, and then he passes to Caden. And on Caden's turn, he'll tap for 6 and cast one of my favorite new cards, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. This will trigger Mana Gorger Hydra, and then when it ETBs, he'll discover 7. And this hits Forerunner of the Empire, which he casts, triggering Mana Gorger Hydra again, and then he'll tutor for a dinosaur to the top of his library. And that dinosaur is Itali, Primal Conqueror. After this, he'll move to combat, and he swings Pantlaza at Ethan for a total of 5 commander damage. And yes, he does forget about the Vigilance from Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. He doesn't later, though. The turn is then passed to Ethan, and he'll just play a basic Plains as land for turn, and then he'll cast Ellie and Alan, and then pass the turn to Sam. Oh yeah, Mana Gorger trigger. And Caden remembers his Vigilance. Now on Sam's turn, he'll start off with a Yavimaya as land for turn, then he'll drop a casual Doubling Season. This triggers Mana Gorger Hydra, and then he'll pass the turn to Cameron. Cameron will start off with a Restless Prairie as land for turn, and then he'll cast Kodama of the West Tree, triggering his own Mana Gorger Hydra. Then he'll move to combat, and he swings 6 at Sam, who just takes the 6, and this triggers Kodama, which lets him tutor a basic to the battlefield tapped. And since Sam has a Yavimaya out, he gets a Plains. And then the turn is passed to Caden. And he'll start off with a basic Plains as land for turn. He'll then tap out and cast the Itali he tutored for. Mana Gorger trigger, ETB triggers, discover for 8 since he has an Anthem out, and then Itali's trigger. Oh yeah, and he declines the Forerunner of the Empire trigger. He decides to resolve his discover first, and it hits Regal Behemoth. So he'll become the Monarch, and then Itali's trigger will resolve. He hits Last March of the Ents from Ethan, Kutzil from Cameron, Kodama's Reach from himself, and Craterhoof Behemoth from Sam. Caden will resolve the Kodama's Reach first, getting 2 basics, 1 to his hand and 1 to the battlefield. Then he'll cast Kutzil, and then there's a big debate on whether he should resolve Craterhoof or Last March of the Ents first. If Hoof resolves first, it'll make his creatures massive, which means he'll draw more cards and put more things in from Last March of the Ents. But if he resolves the Last March first, he could potentially hit a ton more creatures to put in, and then when the Craterhoof resolves, it could be a lethal swing with those extra creatures. But he decides to resolve the Craterhoof first, giving everything +8/+8, and then he'll draw 16 cards off Last March of the Ents.
I'm going to put into play Scytheclaw Raptor, Riftjaw Raptor, Hunting Velociraptor, and Zakama.
And it's when these 4 dinosaurs enter the battlefield, he will accept the Forerunner of the Empire triggers. So all creatures get hit for 4 damage, and his Ripjaw Raptor will draw him 4 more cards. And this 4 damage will clear out most of the board. Caden will then move to combat, and he now has to decide if he wants to spread the love or kill someone. Oh my god, I just realized how many Mana Gorger Hydra triggers I didn't announce. Yeah, that thing's huge now. And Caden decides what he's gonna do. He sends 55 at Ethan, and then 9 at Cameron. And they both just take it, and Ethan is eviscerated. Caden will also get to draw 2 cards off of Kutzel, and then he'll move to his end step and draw a card, and now he has a lot to discard.
I am discarding a Bonehorde Dinosaur, Crag Crown Pathway, Poetic Ingenuity, Forest, Rockfall Vale, Forest, Temple Garden, Path of Ancestry, Sacred Foundry, Mountain, Nature's Lore, Mountain, Farsi, Plains, Country Tower. Okay.
The turn is then passed to Sam, and he'll immediately tap for 4 and slam the damnation he's had all game. It resolves, and then the turn is passed to Cameron. He'll start off with a basic forest, and then drop the Beanstalk, and he'll draw a card upon ETB. After this, he'll tap for 3 and cast Kami of Whispered Hopes, and then after this, he'll pass the turn to Caden. And Caden starts off by tapping for 3 and casting Rhythm of the Wild. Then he'll cast an Intrepid Paleontologist. Rhythm of the Wild gives it Riot, so he has it enter with haste, so he can tap it for a green mana, which allows him to cast Welcome To. And when it gets its first lore counter, it turns Sam's Elixir into a 0/4 wall. Caden will then pass the turn, and he draws on end step. Now on Sam's turn, he'll tap for 3 and cast the Mycotyrant. He'll then fetch with his Verdant Catacombs for an untapped Overgrown Tomb, and then he'll tap for 2 and cast a Spore Crown Thalid. Sam will then move to his end step, and thanks to Doubling Season, he'll make 2 funguses, since he descended for 1 this turn, and then the turn is passed to Cameron. And Cameron will start off with a Tendershoot Dryad, and since it's 5 CMC, he'll draw a card off of his Up the Beanstalk, and he is ascended. After this, he'll cast Incubation Druid. Cameron will then pass the turn, and he'll make a Saproling on Caden's upkeep. Then after Caden's draw step, he'll tick up Welcome To, and he gets a 3/3 Dino with Trample and Haste. And he doesn't realize that Rhythm of the Wild says non-token creature, so he accidentally puts a 1/1 counter on this token. After this, he'll tap for 3 and cast Growing Rites of Itlamok. When he ETBs, he'll look at the top 4 cards of his library and put Wayward Swordtooth into his hand. He'll then cast the Swordtooth, and with Riot, he'll have it enter with a counter. And he is ascended. He'll then tap for 2 and cast Contest of Claws. This will have his Wayward Swordtooth deal 6 damage to Cameron's Tendershoot Dryad that only has 2 toughness. So there's an excess of 4, and Caden gets to discover 4 into a Birds of Paradise, which will get a counter. He'll then move to his end step, and Growing Rites of Itlamok will flip. And he also draws a card off the Monarchy. Now on Sam's turn, he'll play a Bloodstained Mire's Land for turn, and then fetch with it for a swamp. After this, he casts Sir Conrad the Grim. He'll then cast a Village Rites, sacrificing one of his Saproling tokens, Conrad trigger, and slight misplay here. The Descend mechanic specifically says permanent cards in the graveyard, and tokens don't count as cards. So now that Sam's passing the turn, he should have only descended once, but we count it twice. On to Cameron, he starts off with a basic forest, and then he'll cast Voracious Hydra X's3. It enters with 4+1/+1 counters thanks to the Kami, and he has it fight the Paleontologist. After this, Cameron taps for 4 and casts Sovereign Okinec, and then the turn is passed to Caden. Welcome To will transform into Jurassic Park and also destroy all walls. There's only 1 wall, but it's destroyed, and then Caden will play an Exotic Orchard. Yeah, I just now realized he has 2 Gaia's Cradle-like effects now. That's crazy. And he taps them both for a total of 5 mana. He then taps for an additional 2 red and escapes Atali. Atali ETB trigger, he hits Thunderfoot Baloth, Tarian Soul Cleaver, and Dino DNA. So yeah, Caden just gets all of those. And Riot will give both of those creatures haste. Caden will then cast Return of the Wild Speaker to give all of his non-humans +3/+3 till end of turn. Atali is then equipped with the Soul Cleaver, giving it Vigilance. Then he'll move to combat, and he swings everything at Cameron. That's a total of 34 damage. Cameron has a total of 11 toughness, and he spreads it around among Caden's attackers. So he'll take 23 damage. And then Sir Conrad will trigger 4 times, putting Cameron to 2. Then post-combat, Caden will Path to Exile Sir Conrad. Then the turn is passed to Sam, and Caden draws on end step. Then Sam will cast Ramunap Excavator, which will let him play Verdant Catacombs as land for turn from his graveyard, which he'll immediately use to find a swamp. He'll then cast Tendershoot Dryad, and Sam will ascend. He'll then move to his end step, and since he descended once, he'll make 2 Saprolings. And he'll unfortunately forget his upkeep trigger. Now to Cameron, he'll tap for 6 and cast Neverwinter Hydra, X's 2. Up the Beans will trigger, drawing him a card, and then he'll roll 2d6, getting a total of 10, so it enters with 10 +1/+1 counters. After this, he'll cast Sylvan Anthem, and then he'll pass the turn to Caden. And Sam unfortunately misses another Tendershoot Dryad trigger, but you're about to find out why that doesn't matter at all. Because Caden will slam Awakening Sun's avatar, and he did cast it from his hand, so when it ETBs, all non-dinosaurs are destroyed. Riot will have it enter with haste. And this is going to put a ton of counters on Atali from the Soul Cleaver. And for good measure, Caden will escape dinosaurs on a spaceship for that +1/+1 trample and vigilance, and it'll enter with haste. So then he'll move to combat, and he'll swing for 5 at Cameron. And then everything else goes at Sam, which is more than lethal, which makes Caden and Pantlaza the winners. Congratulations! Well, everybody, there you have it. Now I'll start off by saying I am a huge dinosaur fan, so I absolutely am ecstatic that dinosaurs took the victory here. But I also did build the Ellie and Alan deck, and I'm a little sad they got taken out so soon. That was some absolutely insane luck from Caden, though. Being able to hit Last March of the Ents and Craterhoof Behemoth off Atali, ugh. Even that Damnation didn't really do much to him. He had so much card selection when he discarded down to hand size that he was able to sculpt the perfect 7 for his next upcoming turns, and he was right back in the pilot seat. But anyways, let us know what you guys thought down in the comments below. If you want to see any more of the other commanders, or even more Pantlaza, let us know. We'd be happy to try them out again. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you all have a smooth day.